Okay, class. For this next assignment, we're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to create a series of small videos from time to time where you guys will be listening to a short lecture and answering some questions along the way. Today's video lesson is going to focus on religion in Mesopotamia. Let's go ahead and begin. All right, first and foremost, religion in Mesopotamia. One thing we're going to be talking about throughout the rest of the school year when we talk about different civilizations is how every civilization has some form of religious system. Even to this day, almost everybody that you run into believes in some type of religion, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, and the list goes on and on. Um, and the ancient world was no different. Uh, in Mesopotamia, it influenced many parts of their daily life. It's one of those things where it determined if they were going to be doing good deeds. It also determined, um, it influenced their decisions throughout the day. And if you remember, Mesopotamia is the region that we are currently talking about. And it is found within the Fertile Crescent, along with the Tigris River and the Euphrates River. Now, unlike most religions today, they practice polytheism, which, as we learned in our vocabulary, is the belief in many gods. Now, just like unlike today, where we know we have science, we have Google, Alexa, Siri, and just the internet overall, they used religion as a way during ancient times to explain the world around them. They didn't have science to explain these things. So when anything happened, they either attributed it to their gods, or in some cases, they even believed they were being punished by the gods because they believed that they were, if bad things happened to them, like natural disasters, they believed that they were being punished for for things that they did along the way. But this also worked the other way as well. They believed that the gods rewarded them if they lived their lives according to the gods. Now, in order to keep the gods happy, they had priests that would conduct ceremonies, and experts believe that in these ceremonies they made sacrifices, and some of these sacrifices may have actually involved human sacrificing as a way to appease or make the gods happy. In a lot of other religions, they have also sacrificed animals, foods, or given very expensive or extravagant gifts. Now, like all major religions today, they had houses of worship as well. Today, we typically call them mosques, churches, synagogue, temples, but back then they were called ziggurats. Now, a ziggurat, if we were to look at it, looks like a giant, almost like a pyramid, but made out of steps. And they're very similar, but the one big difference is at the very top was a blue shrine. And in that shrine is where the priests would conduct their ceremonies, and only they were allowed on top of the shrine. Another thing about ziggurats is when they were built, they were usually built in the center of the cities, and they were always the tallest building in the area. To give an example, some ziggurats were believed to be over 7 stories tall. Just to give you an idea how big that is, that would be if that would almost be the size of two middle schools stacked on top of one another plus one more floor. So it was a very tall structure for the time. Down below, you have an example of one that is found in modern day Iraq, and they are still standing, but they tend to get outshined just because we're more familiar with the pyramids of Giza and then the pyramids of that are found in Mexico. Now, the Mesopotamians believed that only priests could communicate with the gods, and that it was their job to keep them happy. So priests also had a lot of power within their city because they were the ones that could only communicate with the gods. Now, every Mesopotamian city had a chief god that they worshiped. That means that their chief, whatever their deity or god that they chose, he was going to be the main one, which is very interesting to know. And this is also very similar to the Athenians or the Greeks in ancient Greece. Now, it is also believed that there were over 3,000 deities or gods. Remember, they're polytheistic, they follow polytheism, the idea that they believe in more than one God. But it is crazy to see that they believed in over 3,000 of them. Now, down below are some of the big 10, the most important ones, and we're actually going to look at each individual one closely. But the following, the top 10, and not in any specific order, are Enki, Ninurta, Marduk, Nabu, Utu, Nana, Enlil, Nergal, Anu, and Inanna. The first of the top 10 that we're going to look at is Marduk, and he was known as the god of thunderstorms and agricultures. And a lot of times when you look him up, he's depicted looking somewhat like this in a lot of stone carvings. And then every now and then you do see some artist rendition, and a lot of times he does have a lot of wings, and he's got like this serpent dragon that's always by his side. The next one we have is Utu, and he's known as the god of the sun. Anu, and he is the father of the gods and ruler of the heavens. So based on what we could kind of compare him to Zeus and other deities like that. You had Enki, which was known as the god of water and knowledge. You had Enlil, god of the wind and atmosphere. You have Ninurta, god of springtime, thunderstorms, the plow, and the god of war. One thing you'll notice is with these gods is just like in other mythologies, they have a variety of different powers or things that they can control, and a lot of times they do interchange based on what I'm reading about them. But just makes it interesting, especially considering how these gods don't get as much shine as the ones from Egypt, Greece, or Rome. This next one's known as Inanna or Ishtar, and she is known as the goddess of love and war. You have the next one is Nergal, excuse me, and he is the god of death, plague, pestilence, and the underworld. And like always, gods of the underworld always tend to look a lot darker, scarier, creepier, and Nergal is no different. Is no different. Next one is Nana, and this one is the god of the moon and wisdom. And the last one is Nabu, and he is known as the god of scribes and literacy. And he is very important because the Mesopotamians gave him credit for teaching humans how to learn how to write in cuneiform, which we'll talk more about that at a later date. And really quick, those are the big 10 gods, but just a quick recap before we end this video is that these are the things we talked about today. Mesopotamians believed that religion ruled every aspect of their lives. They used it as a way to explain the world around them. They believed in polytheism. They believed that the priests communicate with the gods and that only the priests could communicate with them. In order to please them, they built ziggurats as their house of worship, where they sacrificed humans and other things for the gods to keep them happy. You had over 3,000 deities in Mesopotamia. And lastly, we went over some of the top 10 Mesopotamian/Sumerian gods. All right, guys, so that concludes my time with this video. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to like my channel and like and subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know. See you.